Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Welcome on in, everybody, to the TMi Mom podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sleeping Bella.
And I'm Loona. Hi.
Woot. Hi.
I love how our intro song changes a little bit every time. I think it adds like that touch of uniqueness. It's great.
I can't. I even went back and listened to it, and I literally cannot recreate it. I don't know why.
No, but like I genuinely love it. Like it's I don't know.
Maybe one day we'll
like,
fix
what
that.
will they hum today?
Maybe one day we'll fix that. Today is not that day.
No.
So, everyone, you are in for a real treat today because Loona and I did not. I didn't prepare anything. Loona rarely prepares anything, but
listen.
no offense.
I try.
But I didn't.
I actually actively think about it several times a day, and I'm like, I should talk about this to Bella, or I should do some research on this, and bring up some points. I'm like, I'll do that when I have a minute.
Yeah.
And then I don't, or I just forget.
Hold on, I've got a train going by here.
A train? I didn't know you had trains.
You didn't know that
trains are like super rare in the States.
Well, my backyard has a train track that goes like right up against my backyard. So we have a fence, and then there's a train track, and then there's the other neighborhoods on the other side of the train track.
I didn't know that.
So, we get trains like a couple times a week. But yeah, they're not computer trains, commuter trains. They are freight trains carrying things like lumber, other products. So
yeah, because one of the things that like States people always get excited to do in Europe is ride on a train. I'm like, ew.
Yeah, we don't ride the trains. We're not on the trains. We are listening to them drive by, and then they dump goods and stuff around. So it's not so bad. It really isn't. It doesn't cause any problems. The kids used to love it. They used to get so excited, and they'd scream train, and they'd run to the back porch, and they'd jump up and down, and then half the time the driver would actually see them and would blow his horn for them. So
that's cute.
It was cute. So I mean, I'm sure if they did it now, he'd be like, these kids are a little old, but okay, what the heck?
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah.
My goodness.
Anyway,
so I know our question was, what surprised you in motherhood, essentially, right? More or less.
Well, that was like that was a thought, just a random thought.
Well, I'm gonna add on that random thought, and I'm just gonna describe to you my morning, because I feel like you will find it amusing.
Let's hear it.
So anybody who was maybe on my stream earlier may have heard the story already. But I know that you were still asleep at the start of my stream, so I think we're safe on that end.
I haven't heard it.
So, my daughter, almost 2 years old, turns 2 in August. Oh my god, what the heck? Where's time going?
Don't start with me.
She because I apparently signed her up to daycare late this year, she has had varying daycare schedules every month. I think next month is when we like lock down on the schedule. I really hope so. But this month it is Monday and Tuesdays. Now, so far it's always been the afternoon including lunch. So I'd bring her down around like 11:30 a.m. She has lunch there, she naps there, she plays in the afternoon, and I pick her up around like 5:30, 6 p.m. And this month, it's Tuesday without lunch. So I have to bring her there at 1:30, which cuts into her nap time a little bit, which I knew was going to be a struggle, but I was like, whatever. It's like 4 times, essentially, where it's like that. It'll be fine, right?
Okay.
So
famous last
today
words.
was the first... Yeah, famous, exactly. Exactly. Today was the first day of after lunch daycare. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up at 7:30 a.m. I'm gonna get myself ready, shower, have breakfast, all of that, so that when she wakes up, I can get her up, fully focus on her straight away, and get her breakfast ready, play with her in the morning, and then have lunch and stuff, you know. And I'll bring her to daycare. It'll be fine. It'll be perfect. So today of all days, my daughter decides to have a party at 4 a.m.
Oh
in her room.
gosh.
She stays in her room. She doesn't ask to get out or anything like that. She just runs back and forth, bangs her toys around, giggles her butt off, you know, having a little party. It's great.
Yeah.
Um so come morning, she is not waking up.
Nope.
She's not waking up. And I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait. And at 11 a.m., she decides to move and sit up. And I watch her in the baby monitor. She's just kind of looking around, like she's not up yet, you know? She's still wanting to sleep more kind of deal. So I was
Okay.
like, no. I go in there. I try to get her out, and she's having none of it. She lays back down. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give her 30 minutes, and while I like prepare her breakfast, essentially, I go prepare her breakfast, and by that time, like she's ready to get out. She was playing around and stuff. It's fine. Okay, so we have breakfast at 11:30 a.m.
That's normal
um,
around here in the summer.
and I made her like a big plate with honeydew melon and strawberries and blueberries, and she had banana, and she had like some rice crackers and a muesli bar and yogurt. Like she had a huge breakfast. She ate it all, by the way. She ate all
You
of it.
need fuel after you've had an all-nighter, you know?
Yeah, right? So she ate all of it. I was really happy about that because I was like, okay, good. This is like, I need her to have a big breakfast because I'm not making lunch. You know, it was 11:30. I wasn't about to make lunch in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, fine. And she went to play and I went to clean up. And all of a sudden, it's really silent. And I'm like, oh, no. And I look around, I don't see her anywhere. Because sometimes she just like plays, like she
Yeah.
started looking at her books and she just sits in a corner and silently looks at her book, right? So I was like, okay, maybe she's doing that. No,
And they
no,
never
I don't
are
see her
when you want
anywhere.
them to.
No, they really aren't. And so I hear splashing and giggling. And I'm like,
Oh
no,
no.
please, no. So as you guys know, if you remember, a few months ago she started to play in the toilet bowl.
The best place to
And
play, obviously.
she hasn't done that in a while now, and I thought she was over that phase. She's not. She's not over the phase. He's absolutely not over the phase. So I find her in the bathroom, in the toilet bowl, splashing to her heart's content, having the time of her life. Both feet. She's fully in that bowl, like completely.
It's summer,
I'm like,
Mom. She needs a kiddie pool or something.
and I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Whatever. I guess I had like an hour to go until I needed to be at daycare at that point, right?
Okay.
And now I needed to watch her, which was not planned because usually I try to make bath time really fun, really entertaining with a lot of toys, music, bubble, you know, all that. And it just needs to be a quick wash at this point, right? So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna leave her in the toilet bowl while I go get her towel and her hairbrush because she has curly hair. I can only really brush it when it's like wet, like properly brush it, right?
Okay.
So I was like, I'm gonna get her hairbrush and her towel. So I go and get her towel first because it was close to the bathroom and I didn't want to leave her alone for that long. And she was still in the toilet bowl playing when I got the towels. Okay, cool. And then I ran to the living room where the hairbrush was. And I come back, and by that point, she had already gotten out of the toilet bowl and decided that her towel needs a washing too.
Oh no!
The towel that I had just gotten.
Oh, mom.
So then I'm like, no. And I take the towel away, I put it in the washing machine, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? How I can't. She's out of the bowl now. Like, she's not gonna stay there, and I don't want her like making the house full of toilet bowl water, right? So I was like, okay, all right. I'm just gonna strip. I'm gonna strip, and I'm gonna pick her up. I'm gonna be full of toilet bowl water as well. What the heck? I don't know what to do. So I took her, stripped naked, took her, grabbed her towel, put it down, and then we went in the shower. We rinsed ourselves off. But the bath was already running, by the way, it was already filling up. And then after that, I put her in the bath. I dried myself off and I washed her and stuff. And we got to daycare about 15 minutes late.
That's
But
not
yeah,
so
my
bad
morning went
considering.
from super peaceful, relaxing to absolute chaos within like 5 minutes.
To toilet. It was
Yeah.
literally a day in the toilet.
So yeah, that's how my day started. And then I streamed. And then I had to go pick up the toddler. And then I had to prepare dinner. And now I'm here. That's been my day.
Yeah, that's why I was checking in with you on stream to make sure. Like, I was like, wonder what her energy levels are gonna be like, you know? Like,
It'll be fine.
it'll be fine. It's just like,
It's
even
fine.
just like a normal day with streaming like that, with co-streaming, you and Nord are just chaotic. And then you add in Sumi, and it's just like, wow, you guys are that's a day. That's a whole day.
Mhm.
So, but
Mhm.
we'll endeavor to keep the energies up.
Yeah, that's why this month
uh
I'm deciding to technically not stream on Tuesdays because of the whole daycare only being in the afternoon. It's just gonna
mm,
be. I think it's gonna be too tight to like. I basically have about 20 minutes to eat lunch and prepare for stream if I manage to get her to daycare like on the dot at 11:30. I mean at 1:30 on the dot, you know, because I'm
yeah.
supposed to then start at 2, and that's gonna be a rough schedule to uphold. So that's why I'm like, I think I'm just gonna not do Tuesdays, and hopefully my aunt will just be taking toddler consistently every Thursday, because then I'll just have it on Thursday. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, that's
Yeah, that's my
yeah.
day.
That's I mean, and my day hasn't really gotten started. So I don't have any crazy stories. I don't have stories like that anymore though. Like, I had stories like that. I don't get stories like that anymore. We're mm, pretty far past the kids playing in the toilet. But some days I
I
miss
would hope
those.
so.
I miss those years, you know. But
I
you
don't
can do
know if I'm
other
ever
shit.
gonna miss her playing in the toilet.
I think that there will be times where they're doing something that you're
And I
like,
wish that it
man,
was just playing in
I
the
wish it
toilet.
was just playing in the toilet. Exactly. Yeah. So it's not like you're like, oh boy, that was so much fun. I really wish you would just play in the toilet again. It's more like, oh boy, I wish that this is all I had to deal with. So, uh,
Yeah.
I guess on like the topic of like I woke up this morning and I had planned on starting stream an hour earlier. I'm trying to figure out the stream schedule at the kids because this is the first year that I'm like I think I can manage a stream schedule while having the kids
Mhm.
home all day.
Mhm.
Uh
Yeah.
the first year. Usually I kind of go on hiatus in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But they're old
it
enough now. Oh my
yeah,
god.
well, they should be. And I was like, "Okay, what I'm gonna do is this week was supposed to be shifting it an hour earlier." So I got out of bed, I got showered, I was, 7:50 my time, and I was like, "Okay, I think I can if I just, like, throw some clothes on and grab a breakfast bar, I can go start stream at 8." And then I was like, "How am I gonna keep the energy up until, uh, Luna's ready?"
Podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I did not start at 8. I'll start at 8 tomorrow. But I'm trying to figure out what time works with keeping them on task. I'm trying to I have like a list of things for them to do before they have screen time. My goal right now is just to keep them off of screens all day. Like they'll be on screens, but not just on screens all day. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm hoping for, and getting them back into, well, getting them into habits, and like the having neurodiverse kids, other kids, they can go on summer break where they don't have to really do anything, but I need my kids to wake up at a set time still, go to bed at a set time still, have set chores they're trying to do,
I
have
mean,
set.
honestly, neurodivergent or not, having a schedule is good. It is good for your mental health to have a schedule.
Well, that's what I'm working on then, where it's like, all right, here's what we're doing. So we're trying to figure out what the summer schedule looks like, because I'm not a
Like I
schedule person.
remember
I don't do
I
schedules well.
remember I remember my cousin, and like in hindsight, I'm like, I wish my mom would have kept me on a schedule, honestly. To be fair, like I am neurospicy, but like my cousin, when we were little, I remember going to her place one summer morning, and her mom was talking to her. At the time, to me, it sounded more like her mom was, being an annoying, berating, your ranty mom.
As we are.
And she was telling her, oh yeah, just gonna call her Becca. Becca got up late this morning, so she's not ready to go. Da 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 da. And I'm like, what do you mean got up late? It's summer vacation. She's like, yes, but Becca still gets up at 8 a.m. every morning to do some of her chores and get the day started. And back then, I remember going home that day and telling my mom how horrible she was being to Becca. Because I was like, Mom, it's summer vacation and Becca's mom is just like making her do all these things. Like we work really hard throughout the year to get good grades in school and and then this is how she's being treated in summer. I don't think that's all right. And my mom was just like, well, different households do things differently.
Yep.
And I was not okay with that.
Which is
not okay with that.
On a side note, what you have to say when you're dealing with other parents, especially other parents that you need to like interact with at some point in time, is not to be like, "Oh my gosh."
I know we interact with this family a lot.
Yeah,
like,
you've got to be like, "Hey, this is other people do things differently." Like you have to be I mean, I tend to do it for most parents, like unless there's some behavior that's just not excusable in any way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
But
yeah, cutting to much, much later, when it came to like, getting a job and stuff like that, Becca didn't struggle getting up for her job in the morning. Becca didn't struggle with the idea of having responsibilities because she was taught that from a young age.
She was already like, I'm always gonna have a schedule. I'm always gonna have a time I have to wake up. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we've been having such a hard time waking up for school time. And while I'm not making them wake up at the same time as they do for school time, I'm trying really hard to be like, okay, we pushed bedtime back by like an hour and a half. So we pushed wake up time by an hour and a half. So instead of, I mean, they were waking up at like 6:30. I don't even want to wake up at 6:30. So I let them wake up, closer to 8. So 9 actually. I let them wake up at 9. Yeah. They get to sleep in. They just don't get to just sleep willy-nilly, and they have bedtime still. I have regrets about bedtime though. So anyway, all things we're still kind of working on because I have.
What are your regrets about bedtime?
I told the boy that he could stay up. Yes, I told the boy he could stay up, and he pushes it to the absolute like, oh, you said I could stay up this late, Mom. And I am like, you know what? I have regrets about this bedtime. I wish I had kept it earlier. In fact, we might, depending on how much more of a struggle it is. Just like, no, we'll go to bed earlier. Cause I need to go to bed. Hubby still has to wake up early. In fact, he has to wake up early so he can get to work early. So it's just Anyway, we're still figuring it all out. It's new.
Mhm.
This is pretty much the first year that I feel like I don't have any little kids. So,
Yeah.
my kids are young, but not like the older two are young adults. So, that's weird. That's weird, but whew,
That's crazy.
it is crazy. 16, sweet 16. You're like, "Oh man, my baby's going to be 2," which I also still feel, but I'm like, my oldest is going to be 16. So,
16 is such a crazy number for
16.
me because when I was 16, I was doing things that like I would absolutely no, I would go berserk
No, 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 no,
if
no.
Livy did those things, honestly. Um
Yeah, we're not,
and I
we're,
think it's okay to say, and my mom knows this too. Um what?
what? What's
I
okay to
thought you
say?
told me to shush.
No, I'm just like stressed out at the idea of all the stuff that teens get up to. So, like,
Oh, yeah, fair. I was like, does she not want me
no,
to
no, no,
continue?
you're good. You're good. Not a real shush. A real shush is going to be like, okay, we got to talk about something else. We've
I
been
feel like we
there.
need a safe word.
I think just saying like, okay, let's change the subject because that's more
Fair,
serious.
yeah.
But like, shh, no, 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 I can't hear this.
No,
That's,
no, don't do it. I was like,
that's a
is she
little
trying to
different.
be like
Anyway,
subtle?
no, 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 no. We're
I
okay.
think it's okay to say that I think it's okay to say, and I think it's healthy to acknowledge that everyone makes their mistakes, and not every decision that we make as a parent is always going to be good, right?
Right.
My mom let me have a lot of freedom when I was a teenager. In my opinion, way too much freedom when I was a teenager. So, when I was a teenager, and growing up in the Dominican Republic, it was very common for us to go partying, clubbing, if you will, and going to after parties at like 2 and 3 a.m.,
Wow.
which is when the clubs start closing, and
At
drink
16?
a lot. A lot.
Wow.
So these are things I am not personally proud of. I, as now an adult, have to say no. Like if my kid would no, just no in so many ways, you know. But yeah, I don't know. That's why whenever somebody says like, "Oh, my kid is 16," I'm like, oof.
I think it
Because
depends on the kid,
that's what I was
though.
doing when I was 16, you know? To be fair, I feel like in the DR, there wasn't really much else to do. Like,
Yeah.
the culture there is very much partying, having a good time, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the danger of living in places where there's not anything else to do. I know that when I was in so 16, I was in Italy. I was a foreign
Mm,
exchange student. And there were the people who were out partying and having a good time, going to the discotheque and drinking and stuff
mhm.
like that, or doing other things with their significant others. but but I don't think my parents would have sent me if I had been one of those kids. Like, and they knew that's not the kind of kid I was. So
Fair.
there's just something to be said for knowing your kid, knowing
Yeah.
like when you know your kid. And I mean, honestly, they're going to do stuff you don't know about, sure. But when you know who they are in general, you feel a lot more secure about giving them more freedom. So,
Mhm.
or,
Yeah,
you're
no.
just like, oh, they'll be fine. They'll learn. And you send them out
It's
to party
fine.
at 3 a.m. and drink and, you know, whatever. Hopefully you figure it
No,
out,
I
right?
wanted my mom just wanted me to make my own decisions and learn my own body, which in a sense is commendable, you know. But I feel like there should have been limitations.
Yeah, it goes too far sometimes. Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Like, I say my kids are young adults, but I don't just leave them to navigate everything on their own. Like, we're doing
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff together, especially with the 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see the wanting to have them learn things, and I can see the learn just by kind of throwing them in and make their decisions. But I definitely think there needs to be a lot more of a safety net for kids. All of it
Yeah.
is safety net as far as I'm concerned. As far as I can offer them a safety net even into their adulthood, I want
Mm-hmm.
to. But yeah, at a certain point in time, it really is just let me just stand back and let you do this. But I don't think 16 is completely that time. But again,
No.
I wasn't even living with my family that year. I was on the other side of the world. I was living with strangers. So,
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. It started before 16 for me. The
okay.
partying. I'm like 14. um, but at 16, I was in Canada. At 16, I was doing an exchange year in
You
Canada.
were also an exchange student. It's so cool that
Mm-hmm.
we both have that in common.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a very different experience because you went from 14 to living in a place that was like pretty liberal, pretty like to Canada. To Canada. And I've got to
Yeah.
imagine that was like the opposite because I went from uber conservative, uh, everybody is the same religion, small town Idaho to
So
Italy.
I oddly enough didn't mind it. What bothered me more there was the language barrier and the other shitty things the family did.
Oh,
But yeah, not gonna get into it too much because it's a whole freaking
side
yeah.
podcast. Loona talks foreign exchange family.
They basically forced me to go into the French school when I didn't speak a word of French.
Oh
Long
no.
story short.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
So my grades went down the gutter, obviously. I was an A plus student, went to a failing student because everything was French. Um but that's a whole other can of worms. No, but when it came to like the partying and stuff not really being a thing there, I think Canada is when I noticed how much I enjoy gaming.
Okay. Well,
So I always liked gaming, but my mom wasn't very fond of me just staying inside gaming. So she would always encourage me to go play outside and stuff, you know. So yeah. And none of my friends in the DR really were gamers or liked anime or any of that stuff. The boys kind of did, but it was kind of taboo to hang out with the boys. Stupid, kid stuff. And
ew, boys.
yeah, pretty much. And
Boys are yucky.
um
Just kidding.
it, it wasn't so much the boys are yucky, it was more like a shameful thing to like the same thing that boys liked.
Oh,
Do you know what I
that's
mean? Like if you liked playing video games, that's a boys thing. How dare you, kind of deal.
the weird
For
like
girls, it's just
gendered things being
yeah,
gendered. That's yeah.
yeah. Um,
Anyway,
but yeah. So in Canada, because I didn't speak the language, because I went to Quebec, right? So
okay.
I didn't speak French. No, I didn't. I knew bonjour
Bonjour.
and
Comment allez-vous?
merci
Merci.
and au revoir and je m'appelle Luna. That's it. That's all the French I knew. That's it.
That's all the French I know. So amazing.
That's all the French I knew. So I did have a laptop and I started playing a lot more video games and stuff like that. And I guess I kind of noticed that I was just going along with the group in the DR. Like that clubbing wasn't something that I missed. Drinking alcohol wasn't something I missed. It was just something I did because everybody else was doing it.
Okay. That's fair.
you know?
There's social drinkers, people who don't drink unless they're drinking with
Yeah.
they're only drinking because that's what the group is doing.
Yeah. So I didn't enjoy doing any of that. So for me it wasn't that. I think for like one of my friends who to this day she still goes clubbing and drinks and stuff. It's just her thing. She just likes it, whatever. Um I think she would have struggled in Canada because of how different it is, you know?
No
Like that.
drinking.
But
Well,
I
you,
didn't
you
struggle. Even
don't know what
there
the
were
age
even
limit
some
is.
classmates that had like house parties and stuff and they would have alcohol. But I wouldn't really drink. I just really noticed in Canada that wasn't really my thing,
Is
you
there
know.
a drinking limit in Canada?
There probably is.
Okay.
Teenagers don't care.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because if you say there's a house party, so like in Italy, the drinking age was 16. So I was like stunned when on New Year's they left us with a bottle of Bailey's and I think some wine, and they said, okay, have fun. And the adults left this group of teenagers to hang out with alcohol. And
Yeah.
none of us touched it, which was the part that was kind of funny. It was there, it was condoned. The parents were like, enjoy. There were like 12 of us. So, even if we'd all like split that, we weren't going to get too drunk, but like
Yeah.
none of us were interested. We didn't touch it. So, yeah, it's just kind of
I know.
funny.
I
And then,
don't.
yeah, that's the people you hang out with though. Like that's different group to group, right?
Yeah.
Because if I wanted to be drinking at 16, even in the States, I could have found people to hang out with. So,
Well, all you really need is to find like, I mean, at least back then, all you really needed is to have like one kid that could pass as being older, or one kid that has like an older sibling, right?
yeah,
And they can't really
and money.
police what's going on in your house. Yeah.
Alcohol is hella
And money.
expensive. I don't know how these kids get a hold of it because even if I'd wanted to, and they're like, "Yeah, you need to bring some money for the booze," I had no money. Like,
I
how?
went to private school in the DR. That's
Oh,
not
with
all my
with
mom could
the
afford, though. But there were a bunch of rich
yeah,
kids.
you're there with the rich kids, so it wasn't hard to find somebody who's like, "Yeah,
Not at
I
all.
get a lot of money."
And most of the times, parents had a booze cupboard at home. Which, by the way, parents, if you have a booze cupboard, your teenager will find a way to it. Okay? We found a way in every single household.
They weren't locked?
No.
Okay.
And the ones that were, the kids found the key and just nicked it and put it back later.
So like I have a cabinet. Well, I don't even have a cabinet. I just have a place up high out of the way that I put the alcohol. I am planning on getting a locking cabinet. But I will tell you that if I leave the kids home alone, I'm going to be gauging how much alcohol is in there. And if I see that it's been tampered with, if I see that it's like there's a conversation and then then there's no more alcohol in the house and there's also no more trust in the house.
Yeah.
And I'll tell
That's
them
very
that.
fair.
Like, I'll have that conversation with them. I'll be like, this is here. It is not for you. It is locked. If your friends want some,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to go somewhere else, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is not happening. If you want alcohol when it's legal, I will fund you the most fun 21st birthday ever. But until then, you don't get it. So,
You
anyway.
don't need it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but we have conversations around this a lot. And I think that's really what it is, having conversations around these things
Mm-hmm.
is the most important part of parenting, is not just saying, "Oh, I think it'll be fine." You got to talk to them about it. You got to let them know, like, "Hey, this is here."
I think it's very important to have open conversations about that and everything.
Yep.
A lot of things, honestly. I think it's very important not to hide very real things from your kids. Like I know that you never gave them like the birds and the bees talk, quote unquote, so to say. You gave them the actual talk.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
all the talks that need to be had. In fact, there's another fun one coming up as my child is entering junior high. We get to have the porn talk.
Yay.
So
I never had the porn talk. I also never had the birds and the bees talk.
yeah.
We learned about sex in 3rd grade in school.
Oh gosh.
Um,
That would not fly here.
So that happened, and in 3rd grade we also learned about a bunch of other bodily things. There was, what was it? This was this word, a specific word. I think it was deliver. No, it wasn't deliver. What's it? I think it's Darm in German. Wait, the colon. That's it. The colon. Okay.
Oh, you guys learned about poop.
For some reason, yeah. So for some reason, German word Darm for colon, disgusted me. I don't know why, but I had a
Okay.
physical reaction to it, and so I actually had it to be excused from health class because of it.
We're talking about the colon, and poor Luna's gonna lose her mind. So.
It wasn't what happens in the colon and stuff. It was just the word colon.
Oh, like
in
how
German.
some people have
That
like
just-
a visceral reaction to words like moist.
Yeah, and for
Okay.
me it was colon, and I could not deal with it. And it was health class, but we were going to be talking about the colon and many other things, you know.
That's
and I
so
could not deal with
funny.
it, so I had to be excused.
I don't know that
Um,
we ever did talk about. We didn't really have anatomy. We didn't have anatomy in school, and certainly not in elementary school. So
We had a small one in the DR in like 10th grade, I think. But that was it.
Anyway, continue.
But so we learned about sex in 3rd grade. So my mom never had to do the birds and the bees talk with me or anything like that because we had already learned about it in school. And porn I was introduced to on a movie night after we went for movies, like me and friends, both girl and guy friends. And after the movies, we hung out at one of the guy friends' house, and all the guys were huddled up around the computer. We're like, "What the heck are they doing?"
Oh my gosh.
And my friend was like, "They're watching porn." And I'm like, "Huh?" I was like, "They're watching what?" And she's like, "They're watching porn, Loona." And I'm like, "What's porn?"
Oh my gosh.
And so she describes it to me, and I'm like, "People watch that?"
Yeah. I feel like that's gonna be the response I get. Honestly, I probably should have been having this conversation a lot sooner because of all the number of elementary school kids that take their devices to school. But basically, like, there's school rules around it. It's against school rules. So just kind of like making sure, like, look away. You don't have to be a tattletale, but if somebody is like pushing this on you, that's a time to get adults involved. But you know what it is, why we need to be cautious with it, and eventually a conversation about like the ethics of it, like making sure that if you're watching this, you're watching things that are not exploitive, that don't exploit vulnerable people. And I don't even know how to go about that, except for the fact that I just don't consume it. So
Okay, I was just gonna ask. Wait, I'm curious, Bella. Have you watched porn?
I never have, but I do consider shows that I watch, like Outlander and Bridgerton, to be very
Borderline.
Yeah,
that's
or
fair.
what they call softcore. It's still porn. There's people having sex. We're watching this.
So if Bridgerton is softcore, did you watch 50 Shades of Grey?
I did not.
Okay.
I never
I was gonna say, if
did.
Bridgerton is softcore, then like 50 Shades is like hardcore for you.
Yeah, I never did watch that. And I mean, the whole purpose is to not make it shameful. Like, I don't want my kids to feel ashamed. I want them to be aware, and I want them not to be embarrassed to discuss these things. Like,
so here's my thing with porn, and I think people need to be, from a young age, people need to be aware of this. There's things that happen in there that they make specifically females do that are just not actually comfortable or pleasurable or any of that sort. It's just there for the visuals. And sometimes guys then get the impression of, oh, this is really cool, and it's not. And I think that is something that is very important and needs to be made clear.
100%.
You know, so that's what I will say on that. And I am very done making you and everybody else uncomfortable, so we can totally move on from this topic.
Oh, I'm not uncomfortable. I thought this was kind of what we're supposed to be doing. Like, I mean, and we didn't give ourselves any guidelines today. Like, I am actually sitting here trying to retrace our steps for how we got to this.
How we got here?
How did we even get here? I don't know. So this is
drinking, teenagers growing up.
This is the ADHD ramble. So I'm not sure. We were talking about school hours and summer, and I don't know. Like, this is the thing where I cannot follow our pathway. We are lost in the maze of our own minds. So that is not, if you had told me, all right, so today's topic is porn and body positivity and making good choices as teenagers. Yeah, that's what the reverse engineered. We're picking our topic after the fact. So I like it. Let's stick with it.
I think at this point it's just kind of like growing up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, like our experiences growing up and the similarities and the differences and stuff and the impressions that it made or didn't make.
Yeah. Well, I know none of these topics were touched in my household. None of them. Even when I had
It's so common in the States, though, isn't it, for these topics not to get touched?
Yeah.
It's so strange to me.
Well, because, okay, so a lot of times you'll get like a basic anatomy lesson in school, right? Like, this is your body. This is a vagina. This is ovaries. Like, we don't get that. We we have made it
crazy
so that teachers are not allowed to give those talks, that education, because that's something that parents should be discussing with their kids and not teachers, which to me is wild. Like, this is just the basics. Like, this is the basics. I do not think that kids should not be getting this is what your body is. I don't think that should be taken out of the general curriculum. I cannot understand why. This is your body. Here's all of the labels for it. Like, just the basics. I don't understand why that's not just mandatory across the board. Why we would leave parents in charge of trying to describe the actual names and purposes of body parts. I don't understand it.
I feel like there's like so much it's such a convoluted topic because like I agree to a point that parents should be talking to their children about these topics. I think it's very important to
100%
talk about body parts and stuff like that, and all these things. But I also think it's equally important for it to be taught in school as well.
Yes.
Because kids listen differently to their parents and their teachers, and yeah, I feel like both is important. I really feel like both is important.
Well, but furthermore, it shouldn't be just okay. I'm gonna let you finish that thought. Go ahead. Furthermore,
like there is still, and it's so weird. Like I know we're starting. We should have started much sooner, but I know we're starting to try and be more open about it and less shameful about it. But like even saying the word sex or penis or vagina has been such a taboo thing to do. We don't talk about this stuff. We don't mention this stuff. We don't, you know what I mean? And so I understand how it's become difficult for parents to want to talk about these things with their children because like they themselves feel uncomfortable talking about that. But like, where did that stem from? Probably that in my opinion, I think probably stemmed from misinformation and just completely sexualizing all those things, which comes from miseducation or educating children about it too late, right?
Yes. Or religion being the soul. Like, we don't need to talk about it. All you need to do is know that when you get married, your husband will teach you everything you need to know about your body.
I mean, isn't that kind of funny that what you're saying right now? You mentioned Bridgeton before.
Oh, yeah.
That's literally one of the things there. One of the subplots there is that she didn't get taught anything, really, you know?
But what year does that allegedly take place? What is Bridgerton? Is the 1700s?
I think
the Regency era? Let's Google that just to make sure we're Regency era was between 1795 and 1837. Loona, that was my experience with sex and my body.
It's insane to me.
In the year 2000.
My mom just always, I mean, like I said, granted, like we learned about it in 3rd grade. But like my mom just always said, if you ever have any questions, you let me know. And you can explore as much as you want with anybody you want, boy or girl, doesn't matter. Like that's
that's a lot too. That's a lot too. Because that's not age appropriate like conversations. Like if
it happens, you just let me know. Okay, you let me know. And I'm like, I just nodded. I'm like,
Every conversation that I've had with my kid, if it had been just, do you have any questions? Ew, gross. No, I don't want to talk about this at all, because I also don't want to talk about it. So it's like, okay, good. You don't have any questions and I don't need to talk to you about it. But it's literally, here's an age appropriate conversation. You need to know that this can happen and this is why. And and they're like, gross. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. This is the basics of it. Now, do you have any other questions? No? Okay. Well, then I'm over here. If you do, I encourage you to please come to me first before going to Google or asking your friends. But also, like, those are resources, So it's a balance. But to like literally be in a date age, like, okay, so I actually had gone to the gynecologist once before or twice before when I got married. So I knew a little bit more. But they don't give you like a play-by-play. They're not like,
no.
They're just taking care of stuff and be like, okay, good, you're healthy, moving on. So, I mean, at least I had a little bit of knowledge, but I'm going to tell you, I distinctly remember the quote unquote video we got to watch in 5th grade for periods and stuff. And they said period, but they said menstruation. But when they were talking about like the actual, like, what a period is, they used pancake batter on a skillet. So they were like, here is your ovaries. And then they made these circle pancakes on a skillet. And here is your uterus. Like, and that was all I can remember now is pancakes and periods. Like, there wasn't an actual.
I like pancakes when I'm on my period. But...
Pancake ovaries, yes. So it was like, it was so dumbed down when at an age where some of these kids had already started their periods and they were already dealing with it. So like,
I know kids that started their periods when they were 11.
Yeah. 11, 12 is 5th grade here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I didn't start until junior high. I was 13. And I distinctly remember my first period. And it was the most painful thing I'd ever experienced. Nobody had told me that.
No, it wasn't painful for me. I remember being at my grandma's with my mom. We were visiting my grandma because she lived in Austria and we had already moved to DR at that point. But I remember being at my grandma's, and it was nighttime. We were getting ready for bed, and well, I had bloody underwear, and I was like, "Mom, mom, what is this? Is this the period thing?" Because I didn't know. Like I knew of like a period. I just didn't, I don't know, didn't know anything past that
Oh,
really.
you didn't know it was gonna
And
be
she,
blood.
I mean, I knew it was going to be blood. I just didn't expect it to be so messy, I guess.
Oh.
I expected it to be like, I don't know, some kind of forewarning or something. But there was just, I had a tummy ache all day. I remember having a tummy ache all day.
Okay.
But I didn't think of anything. And we were getting ready to hop in the bath. And I was like, what the heck? And she was like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Da, da, da. And she like gave me a pad and talked me through it and helped me clean my underwear and all that. But yeah, it was very, I feel like it was very I guess healthy start to my
Yeah,
period in a way,
manner of fact. Oh, this just happens.
Yeah.
I think I talked to my oldest to enough because I really didn't want them to be surprised or scared. So at a certain point, I was just like, "This is normal," and like I'm going through it. My son refers to it as like, "Oh, mommy's got to go change her diaper." So like it was very normal for them to know, like, "Oh, mommy's on her period," like. So we discuss these things. We talk about it. We talk about
Mhm.
what it can feel like. We talk about like for me, I didn't tell them, oh, it's like crippling pain because I didn't need them to be like scared of it. But
Yeah.
when they're like, oh man, I'm in so much discomfort, I'm like, yeah. And it really, really, like, not just being like, oh, that's just your period, get over it. I'm like, yeah, it really, really can suck sometimes. So let's baby you. Let's take it easy.
Mhm.
But my family has a history of endometriosis, which
Mm.
is can lead to super, super painful periods. Just the feeling is like barbed wire wrapped around your uterus and just squeezing constantly. That is one of, for me, it
Ugh.
feels like knives stabbing me. And I do remember
Oh
my
my
first
god.
period because I didn't know it was wrong and I was huddled up in a ball. And for years, I always knew my period was coming when I started to get that agonizing feeling. So
Hmm.
yeah, the conversations like that can be helpful beforehand. I kind of understand my mom not being like, and it could be the most painful thing you ever experience because genetically that happens. But
Yeah.
because you need to scare me. But also there wasn't a lot of patience for my periods either. They were like, ugh,
Mm.
everyone goes through
Just
this.
get over it. Yeah.
Not just from my family, but from like teachers until I was like physically fainting from the pain. They would just
Oh my
push
god.
me. And there would get to be a point where I was in so much pain, I would just like my whole face would go white and I would basically faint from the pain. So
That's
these are
insane. Holy
yeah.
shit.
So I was prepared. And I tell my kids like, what can we do to help you? How can we baby you a little bit because this is not it's not fun, and don't let anyone tell you. I do push them a little bit because sometimes because I'm afraid of invalidating their feelings, they take a little bit of advantage. Like try to
Mhm.
get my middle child to do a little exercise. And they're like, "Oh, I'm
I
on
mean, I
my
feel like
period
that's the
though,
danger,
mom."
right?
And I was like,
I
"Well,
think
unless you're gonna faint from pain, you can still do light exercise. It's good for you."
mhm.
So, yeah, that is
I
a
think it's
danger.
been even proven that if you exercise during your period, it does apparently help you.
Yeah,
I don't know the facts. I'm just saying that's what I'm saying. Apparently,
light
please take this with a massive grain of salt. Thank you.
yeah, light
Uh,
exercise. Well, it's been proven
light
that sitting
exercise.
around doing nothing the way we do for hours on end with our
Yeah.
gaming and stuff is not good for us. We need to be up and moving more.
What? Listen, I have a toddler. I move plenty.
Yeah. Well, and the science behind it is really like little bursts of exercise, like getting up every hour and moving around is really what's optimal for us.
Yeah.
So, the starting and the stopping exercise is what really gives us the most benefits. So, at least that's what I have been talking to uh recent dietitians and stuff about right now. So yeah, we're just getting a little bit off topic, but we're also like shooting
What
stuff
topic?
and the
No,
topic,
I
whatever the
think
topic is, I don't know.
I think it's really great that you don't make it a secret. Like your son knows about your period, you
Oh,
know?
absolutely.
I think it's really, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I grew up in a household where a lot of things were almost kind of hidden. Like when the time came, my mom did tell me that the period exists and stuff, but like I didn't know much about it, and like it happening was a very, I, I feel like it's as good of an experience as getting your period for the first time should be, honestly. But I never knew that my mom had a period, so to say. That wasn't something that really occurred to me. You know what I mean? Like there's just things that we didn't talk about, and that was, I guess, one of them. Um, and the other thing that we never talked about either was finances.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
I did not have a allowance growing up. So before my dad passed away, I mean, my dad passed away when I was 9, so I was fairly young when he passed away. I definitely didn't have an allowance at that point. And then later, because obviously he passed away, we had a lot less money available every month, right?
Mhm.
My mom did claim disability because she has a perma illness that doesn't go away over the years, just gets worse. But so we did have money sorted in that sense, that like there was always something coming in. But we were tight, and although I knew we weren't well off, I was an only child, and she always did her very best to spoil me. So a lot of the times it would be like oh Loona, we can't afford this. But then if I'd ask it 2 or 3 times, I would get it anyways. And so I knew that oh Loona, we can't afford this became almost as a like, I feel so bad saying this, but I at the time felt like she was just being lazy. She just didn't want to go and get the thing. So I would just insist until she went and got the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, or like when she told me that we don't have any money left, I would be that kid. I feel so bad now, but I would be that kid that would go and check her wallet to see if she was lying to me.
Oh.
And if I saw money in there, I'd be like, why are you lying to me? We have plenty of money left.
Not
You know?
understanding what it was there for. Now
Yeah, and
we're taking
she
a
was also.
huge shift in topic, just so you're aware.
We're still talking about growing up and stuff, and
Okay.
experiences.
Okay.
It's still within the thing, kind of.
The thing is whatever Luna says the thing is. So, all right, carry on. I'm just letting you know. I can see the shift. We're talking about like things that our parents were not as open about as we'd like, but we are making a
Yeah,
big leap from
I
like
do have a point
body
here. There will
stuff.
be a point.
No, I see where you're
Um,
going. But yes, continue.
and so, uh, and so, yeah. It also likewise, like at the beginning of the month when she got paid, she'd be like, "All right, Loona, it's payday. Let's go shopping." And at the end of the day, she's like, "Well, there goes their money for the month." And I'd be like, "Okay." And then she'd be like, "Well, might as well go eat dinner at this fancy restaurant." Whenever we were on our like so-called last dime, she'd be like, "All right, Loona, we're running out of money, so let's just go, throw it
Blow it
all out at this
all.
fancy restaurant." Yeah, that's how she was. So I grew up with like zero concept of money, of
Yeah.
like organizing yourselves or anything like that. And I think that's the thing, when you are being more honest with your kids, right? You're being more honest and about yourself, whether it's your finances or your period or your, I don't know, sexual experiences, and if you know, whatever it is that you're being honest with your kid. I think it's very important to be honest with your kid about various things, so that they learn about actual real life, so that they're not just constantly in this bubble the entire time that they're growing up, and then suddenly they move out and plop, the bubble bursts
Yeah.
because they're suddenly faced with all these realities.
You're talking about handing adulthood over slowly instead of just kicking them out as soon as they get to the the age, whatever
Yeah.
age it is that the country decides you're now officially old enough, so get out.
Hmm.
Take care of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is really important. And that comes in a lot of different avenues, not just like the talking about these things, but like giving them certain responsibilities. A little thing that I've
Hmm.
been doing is having the kids check in at the doctor's office. So they're comfortable
That's great.
talking to these people. So it's just like, yeah, just go and tell them your name and your birthday and they'll check you in and
I
yeah.
I still don't go to my doctor regularly. I haven't gone to a doctor since, oh god, I think it's been about 2 years now. I think last time I went to my doctor was my uh post giving birth examination. That's the last time I went to a doctor.
That
Although
is a while ago.
there's that one time where I went to a doctor a few months after that when he told me I shouldn't have had kids.
Oh yeah, that was a lovely experience.
That was my last experience with a doctor, and have been dreading going to a doctor ever since. Like, it has downright traumatized me.
Well, Luna,
So
some
yeah,
people shouldn't have become doctors, so.
absolutely not.
That's a ridiculous thing to say to anybody. Um, but I guess like I've had the thought that I shouldn't have passed on my genetics. But I mean, what
Absolutely.
what can you do? At that point in time, what is the point of saying I shouldn't have passed on my genetics? Like my kids are here. They're here, they exist. I can't
Hmm.
can't take I mean, I could take them out of the world, I guess. That's not the same thing though as not having had kids, right? So,
Yeah.
it just kind of comes down to what is the purpose of telling any mom you shouldn't have had kids or like I don't understand. It's not helpful.
No, me neither.
Doesn't help anything. What can we do going forward? Maybe a conversation about how more kids might be difficult X, Y, and Z, but even then, like you have to be very careful telling people
Hmm.
when they shouldn't have kids. So, and
This is the
why?
first time me seeing this doctor as well. Like, this
Yeah.
is me goshing if I want this doctor to be my main doctor. I guess,
Well, good thing he made that
definitely not.
easy for you, right? Like,
Thank you for
yeah.
showing me how much of an asshole you are in the very first meeting.
Because that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me that they would say that to a
Yeah.
mom. Like, come on. So, yeah, I haven't quite had that experience, but I know that I've like been hard on myself about how much of a toll it takes on my kids. Like on the same vein of like sharing things with the kids, sometimes I worry that I overshare with the kids because I want to be understood because no one's really understood me. um and I
I think
worry.
that's just,
Yeah.
there's two sides to every coin, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you can either be the mom that coddles her kid too much and puts them in that bubble, and then they have a very rude awakening one day. Or you can be the mom that's very transparent and honest with their kids, which sometimes may go into the oversharing territory, but at least they are aware of the harsh realities of life and all the pros and cons that come with it sometimes, right?
Yeah, they definitely are. So,
But like, I
yeah.
can tell you right now that I think basically up until I got pregnant, I still went to doctors with my mom. Like, I still waited for my mom to come visit for me to make my doctor's appointment. Sometimes she'd be the ones making my doctor's appointments. Um,
I do remember
to
this.
go to, to go to a doctor's appointment because I just wouldn't. I don't know. I have a big problem talking with doctors, I guess. So I used to always go to these appointments with my mom, and she would basically do all the talking for me. I don't think it was until I looked into IVF and getting that done that I actually started going to a doctor on my own. And that only started because my mom made it very clear to me that she does not believe that it's a good thing to bring more kids to this world. So I thought she would be really disappointed and disapproving of me trying to get pregnant.
Your mom
And that's
told
the only
you
reason why I did that without.
basically not to have kids.
Yeah,
Oh man, that's
political
weird.
state of the world and an
Well,
economic state of the world and stuff.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's pretty rotten.
Valid reasons to be honest.
Yeah,
But still.
but also you've taken what somebody wants for their life. Like if you want to be a parent and raise kids, the only way to do better, the only way that we can do better in this entire world is
she
to raise people to do better.
Yeah, she has since seen that having a kid has like, I don't know. Um it's like I was in this like really deep black dark cloud that I just couldn't get out of for years and years and years because I was constantly told that I would not be able to have kids essentially, right?
Something you wanted,
And
yeah.
then I had for 2 years had completely given up and I was the most depressed I have ever been in my life. And that's including having been in a previous um uh psychologically abusive relationship. So, it was like that was the point when I gave up on having a kid was the most depressed I was ever in my life. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't truly joyful about anything that was happening, you know?
Yeah.
And so when it then it was my uncle who was like, I don't believe it. You need to give this another look. When I told him that I don't think that's happening for me. I
Mhm.
can't. And he was like, no, 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 you give this another look. So I decided to be like, what the heck? One more doctor telling me no. Can't harm. And I found a specialist and, lo and behold, I now have an almost 2-year-old. So my mom has seen how much having a kid has transformed me, like in my mood and my outlook on life and stuff. And she always tells me, she's like, Loona, I know you doubt yourself as a mom, but seriously, you were meant to be a mom. Like looking at how I treat, how I go about my day with Livy and stuff, So yeah, but that's like that's the turning point of when I started going to a doctor on my own. I was 30 years old when I started going to a doctor on my own. And it purely was because it was for something that I thought my mom wouldn't approve of. That's the reason.
Yeah. And that makes
So,
sense. But also, coming from someone who has, known you for a long time and has met your mom, um, I think your mom wanted you to stay a kid.
probably. I don't know.
To a lot of points, she wanted you to stay a kid probably because she likes being needed, you know, and
Mhm.
thought that was the way to go about it, not realizing that you're still needed. You're still needed. You still need your mom when you're 30 years old. You just need her in different ways.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help anything. Um, when we as parents don't see like, oh, I need to let my kids grow up. I need to let my kids
Mhm.
be in charge. It's not like we're giving up being needed. We're just handing over the reins to their lives and hoping we still get to come along for the ride. So,
Yeah.
but I do believe that when we treat our kids well, they'll bring us along. When we do the best we can and acknowledge our
I think so.
shortcomings, they'll bring us along. I don't think we get kicked out for nothing.
No,
Not
I don't
usually.
think so. I
So, anyway, but that's more another topic. I do think that's another day topic. But yes,
Another day, another topic.
another day, another topic. Let's wrap it up by coming back to the question that we were meant to answer. Um, to answer it concisely, like
What
what
was the question,
the
Bella?
question was, what was the most surprising thing about becoming a mom or being a mom? What was the thing that surprised you the most? You said everything, but I
So,
think you actually were talking about
how
something surprising. So, yeah.
no, not really, but I one thing that to me, I guess this is a very personal thing, um, that pops into my head is I have a lot of like these things. I'm I'm a borderline. God, I forgot the word now. God, when you really don't like dirt, germaphobe.
Okay.
I'm borderline germaphobe, and I like things very clean, and I like myself very clean, and
Obsessive
so
compulsive a little bit.
a little bit.
Okay.
Like talking about it, I'm like scratching my hands.
Okay. Well, we don't have to talk about that anymore, but continue.
um, so I really thought I was like, one of the biggest things that I was worried about becoming a mom, um, was the dirt and changing the poopy diaper and possibly getting poop on myself changing the poopy diaper. And lo and behold, the kid playing in the toilet.
Mhm.
Um, and the surprising thing to me, I guess, would be how little that all bothers me now. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, do I find it great that she played in a toilet bowl and got herself and everything full of toilet water? No. Do I find it great when I get poop on myself and she's had a really dirty diaper? No. But it's not something that like super bothers me the way that I thought. Like I thought I was gonna have a meltdown essentially if
Yeah.
those things happened, you know. And I don't. I just take a breath and I'm like, okay, this it happened. There's so many things about motherhood now that I thought previously that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with that when the time comes. That now I'm just like, take a breath. Everything's fine. All of this can be fixed. And I think that's the biggest lesson for me in motherhood is what can be fixed within the next 5 minutes and what's going to take you the next hour. Is this a thing that can be fixed within the next 5 minutes? Okay, no big deal, right? Can you fix this? No big deal. Get to it, right? I don't. That's the thing that surprised me, I guess, the most.
Well, so what I was going to say and what like especially the last little bit of our topic or what you added was it's surprising how much you change for these people. Like what you
Mm-hmm.
become for these people. And I honestly actually feel like your answer is the same. Like how like you stepped up and you started making your doctor's appointments, like you started taking charge, how you like, and same, like I my story like the toilet bowl, my story like that. So I am someone who has always like had a visceral response to like other people vomiting or poop or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I still sometimes get overwhelmed by the smells and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
my story was we were
The smells,
at
yeah.
a friend's house with my oldest, and she was like 9, 10 months old. Um, no, she was older 'cause she was walking, so maybe 18 months old. And she came to me after having had like a piece of candy at this person's house. And then she started fussing, and then she proceeded to vomit what seemed like forever just all over me.
Mm.
And amazingly, this was a testament to that bra. I actually had most of it like contained in my shirt and my bra. And I just sat there because like there's no point like jumping up and running at that point in time because we were like in the middle
No.
of the. So I just sat there like basically holding this like my chest was a bucket and I was the barf bowl, and I just was like, okay, you
Sorry.
done? You feeling better? And then we just like picked her up. We
Yeah,
went to
because
the
that's what
bathroom. Like
matters, right?
yeah, like I cleaned myself up to the best I could. I think they loaned me a shirt or something so I could not go home in a barf bucket outfit, but like just this casualness of doing something so disgusting. Like if you
Yeah.
discuss this with somebody else, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh. Ugh, like I can't how did you
Mm-hmm.
do that?" Actually have no idea how I did that.
Yeah.
I
But
don't know
you
if I
just
could do
do.
it today.
That's the magic of motherhood, I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm gonna call it the magic of motherhood. You learn to deal things that you learn how to peacefully deal with things you thought you never could.
Yeah. It changed us amazingly, and uh it continues to. Like you
Mm-hmm.
and we've got Prismatic 76 who has a 3-year-old. You're continuing to see how it changes you, and you either like go with it or you're fighting something that's really good, you know. You make mistakes, and I do all the time, but the
Mm-hmm.
things that it just continues to surprise me when I'm not my upbringing. I'm not my parents. I'm not the mistakes that I wanted to correct, when I'm able to be like, "Oh, this is the parent I needed."
That I want to be.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's not every day. It's not every day, but the moments it happens, it's pretty awesome. So, yeah. Well, I feel
Mm.
like we've come to a good stopping place here. I have no idea
Yep.
how long that was. Hopefully not too long. But yeah, I'm Sleeping Bella. I stream live on Twitch Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Um, I do not have for certainty the hours, but I am trying to start at 8 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time for the summer. These hours are all going to change, so I I can't promise when I'll be live again next week, but for now,
You should
just
update your Twitch schedule.
I should update my Twitch schedule, except it's so up in the air. Like today, I was supposed to start at 8 a.m.,
Fair.
but I wanted to make sure I had energy for the podcast.
We do actually have a shared Discord where we do post when we do go live and stuff. So it's
Yes, we're
worth
actually really good
joining
about
that.
that.
Yeah.
So
I just
kudos.
made a new specific schedule channel where we can
Okay.
post our like weekly schedule as well. So people have an easy access to it.
Oh, that's
But
smart.
yeah. Ha! I'm smart. But yeah, hi, I am Loona. Call me Loona, and I stream 3-ish times a week, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more.
Or a lot of it more.
A lot bit more. This week is crazy, honestly, but yeah, currently I think it's gonna be Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. Thursday's gonna probably interchange here and there a little bit depending on when my aunt can take care of the toddler. And I usually stream from about 1 p.m. Central Europe time. I know what that is in Mountain Daytime. It's early AF. I know that. Uh, and yeah, you can find me on Twitch and I upload daily on TikTok and YouTube. And this podcast is on Spotify and on YouTube every Tuesday that we're not live streaming it. So go check us out there.
Yep.
Also, we have an email.
Oh, we have an email. That's right. And we sometimes check it even.
I checked it last week, I think.
Oh, good job.
What's our email?
I did not. We are. I have it somewhere.
This is great. This is great.
TMiMom.podcast@gmail.com.
That's the one. Message us if you have ideas for topics or any question you would like us to discuss, or I don't know, maybe we're ready to get guest stars. I don't know. I've been thinking maybe we'll get to episode 10 and then we'll see about having guest hosts.
Yeah.
Guest stars.
Yes.
We're gonna get super famous people.
Nope, I got nobody. Sorry, I don't know.
We're gonna get George Clooney coming next week. No, that's a lie.
Of all the people to pick, George Clooney. Oh my gosh. Yes, the famous mom, George Clooney. Oh boy, Loona.
It's been a long day.
I don't know if he does, actually. Anyway, okay. So thanks for coming, for listening. We will see you all in 2 weeks' time. So take care till then. Bye.
Bye.